Hey, good afternoon, Keller Williams. Josh Abbott here today with Commissions and Compliance Part 2. Now, last time we were here, we walked through the opportunity creation. We went and set our details page with all of our property information, created our document checklist, and then ultimately created our DocuSign room. Now we're going to pick off right from that. If you haven't seen part 1, definitely encourage you to go over and do that. And without further ado, we're going to get rolling. So once you go ahead back into the opportunity that you created, or if you've already been in the opportunity, we're going to go ahead and hit Go to Transaction in the top right corner here. And that's going to go ahead and pull up that DocuSign room that was created already that is going to have all of our documents pre-populated in it. Now we have this list here of 8 documents, and there might be a few additional ones that you need to add, and it's really easy to do that. So if you have any additional addendums need to, or any clauses, or anything, just non-standard document types, you can go ahead on the right side, top right here, click this Add button, click on DocuSign Forms, and then scroll down to whichever packet you're looking for, whichever board you're a part of, and whether it's going to be a listing, whether it's going to be residential, vacant land, etc. You'll be able to see all that information on this page here. And for example, if you're looking for a green sheet and you're not sure which library it may be in, I can go ahead and click or type green sheet in the search box, and then just sort of go down this list and click on them, say boom, that's the green sheet for Aspire North. And we have our 191 green sheet, whatever it may be. So I can go ahead and find all of those necessary documents by going through that there. And then you can go ahead and select the checkbox next to one that you have and hit Add Selected. Now, if you already have that document being used, it's going to say in use on the right side, and you will be unable to add that additional document because there's already an existing copy for it in here somewhere. All right, so we have all of our documents in DocuSign, and the next thing that we need to do is prepare the documents. So we're going to start with this GRAR disclosure. It's a very easy one to do, and the first thing we're going to do is just plain and simply click on that form. Now what we'll be able to do here is we'll be able to preview the form and fill out any form fields that aren't assigned to a particular signer. This means fields that are like empty text box, check boxes, radio buttons, and things of that like. This is not going to be including signature fields and the associated date fields that are set for these signatures as well. But for this disclosure here, let's say that I believe this one is going to be a buyer's agent. We're going to go ahead and select that box there, and then I'm going to say, hey, I'm the designated agent. We'll go ahead and put buyer, etc., whatever we need to do for checking these boxes, and then we can go ahead and save and close. Now that this document has been prepared, or you can go ahead and prepare all the documents that you need to send over, we can go ahead and send those documents over. Now, the one thing that we can do here, and this can get a little confusing, but that is going to be what we want to do if there are multiple signers for our documents. How we're going to handle this. What I'm going to encourage most people to do, and I think the best practice, is to find all of your documents that only need to be signed by your clients and do not need to be signed by the other clients. For example, this is going to be that disclosure we prepared, America's Preferred Home Warranty, and then this HPW data collection form. We're going to use those as just some examples here. And then we want to go ahead and create an envelope. Now, an envelope is essentially a group of files or a single file that we have put together inside an envelope and sent for signatures. And it's very easy to do that. So we'll go ahead and once again, we'll select those documents that we want to send. And if you notice right here, there's this gray bar that appears when we hit this checkbox right in the middle. So we're going to check our documents, and then we can go ahead and use this Create Envelope button here. And that's going to create our envelope. Now, the first portion that can get a little bit confusing here is this recipient section. So essentially what you need to do is look at this list and determine who needs to be signing these documents. For example, those documents, I'm definitely going to need to sign those as my buyer's agent. This also might read authorized agent or client agent, whatever that might be. There's a few different synonymous terms there. And then I need my buyer, this is a buy side. I'm going to need my buyer number 1 to sign this as well. I don't need any sellers to sign this. That was for the America's Preferred Home Warranty. And then there's not a co-buyer and there's not a co-agent, so I can leave that just as is, and we can go ahead and continue. Now what this is going to do, this is going to get to our assigning page. Here we get to look at who is signing what and in what order. So we have those 3 documents here that we did assign to this envelope. You can add more files here if you wanted as well, but I definitely don't recommend going that route. It can get a little bit messy. And we can scroll down to this Add Recipient section, which is where we can assign who's signing when and where. At the very top here, this is going to be the role field. So buyer agent is going to be the role, and then buyer 1 is the other role. That'll come into play when we're looking at 2-sided documents here shortly. But the simple way to look at this is we have a default signing order set. If we look here at number 1, we can see that I am set to be the first signer on the document, and then we have my client, my buyer, set to be the second person on the document for signing. If we do not want to use a signing order, we can do that by unchecking this box in the top left, and that signing order selection will go away. But let's say we do want to use a signing order, and let's say we're maybe working an opportunity with 2 buyers here. So I'm going to go ahead and put their name here, buyer2, and buyer2@gmail.com, whatever that might be. And then what we can do is we can look at the signing order once again. We can see it's 1, 2, 3. One thing we have the option of doing here is changing this number 3 to a number 2. And what that's going to do is have signer number 1, signer number 2, and then signer number 3 sign, and both signer number 2 and signer number 3 will receive it as soon as signer number 1 completes their signatures. Once again, if we don't want to do that signing order, boom, we uncheck it, and then everybody will get the message at the same time. If you had any third parties or anything that also needed to be privy to any of these documents, you can obviously download the completed signed files, or what you can do is add an additional recipient. I don't know if you have a title company. You want to put in here ABC Title. And then what we can do here is set this role permission to receives a copy or needs a view, probably receives a copy for most instances, and then they'll have the opportunity to download this document when it is completed. And that's it for setting your signers. There's one section I'm going to show you on 2-sided deals here. There's a couple extra things we can look at, but we'll get to that in just a moment. And then the last part we have here is adding a message, and this is something you can feel free to do if you want to just give some brief instructions on what you want signed. For example, here on that America's Preferred, if you've already talked to them in person and you want them to waive it, you can just say, hey, look at page 2, and you can sign that waiver that we talked about in person. Whatever that might be, you can leave instructions for them there. And when it's all said and done, we hit this next button. Now, when we get to this next screen, this is going to be our final opportunity to make any edits or changes to this document. Once we send this out for signatures, none of these documents can be changed, fields can't be updated, you can't add additional signers. There is nothing that you can change on this, and that is simply to help hold up the integrity of the document and make sure that nothing changes after signatures are put on pen, or nothing changes after a potential signer reviews the document for the first time. The first thing that I want to draw your attention to is going to be this top left corner, and it'll have your name up there typically, but we can see here there are actually 3 individuals here, and this is going to be our recipient list. So we have myself, this tester, which is my buyer client number 1, and then the buyer client 2, which we just added a moment ago. And you can see these all have associated colors to them on the left. And if I scroll down here to this page right here, we can see here there's actually this is slightly different, but we have this blue signature field here, which means that when this signer number 2 completes the signature field, it's going to put that information right on this box here. There's a few other spots here as well. If we go through the document, then we have signature pages. Where's that one at? Okay, it's on this field. Anyway, but there. So what we can see here, this one we have a blue document, a yellow sign indicator here, and then a blue one right below it. So that means when this goes for signatures, I myself, being the first person in the order and also being yellow, will get the opportunity to sign first. And then that's going to roll over to the second signer, the blue signer. And then we might notice here we have the second signer that we added right at the end, and there's not a signature box set up for them down here. So we can do that manually very easily by just over here. We want to select buyer 2 now because we want to change it to their color, which is purple. And we can drag and drop that signature field right here. Maybe shrink it down if it's a little large. And then we can go ahead and drag and drop this date signed field over here as well. And then we can go ahead and hit the send button, and it's going to go ahead and send it off to myself for a signature, and then immediately to the buyer number 1, and then to that buyer number 2 here as well. And we'll go ahead and punch the send button, or if we want to, we can use the send later feature. And if you want to maybe send it first thing on Monday, or if you don't want the world to know that you do most of your work between the hours of midnight and 1 a.m., you can set it for that 7 a.m. block the next day if you would prefer. And then we go ahead and hit send. Now, because this is a test environment and do have fake contacts in here, we won't be able to see that entire workflow. But what's going to happen here is this is going to bring us back to our envelope page for our DocuSign room. And we can see the status of all the documents we've sent off. And this one is a needs my signature. So I'll go ahead and click this, hit sign, and then this is going to go ahead and pull me to the signature fields that I need to sign. So we'll continue, hit that start button, and that's going to drop it right here for this first signature. We're going to go ahead and use that fake signature there. And then we can hit the finish button. If there are additional places to sign in this document stack, it would show you that as well. But we hit the finish and we are all good to go here. It's going to bring me back to that envelope review page, and it's going to tell me that it's waiting for other people to sign. Typically then we'd wait for those clients to sign it. And once they're signed, we can go back into our documents page here, and it will show that form, whichever forms were signed. We'll have a big old green checkbox in the bottom right-hand corner, which means those documents are completed. Now, the only other thing that we're really going to be looking at here is if it's going to be a two-sided document. And there's only one quick thing we're going to change there. And let's look at this purchase agreement, for example. So we're going to go ahead and create the envelope. And then it's going to go ahead and select our recipients. So we want buyer 1 and seller 1 for this. And we'll go ahead and continue because I expect, my client here, buyer 1, and seller number 1 to sign it. Even though seller number 1 is not my own client, we can make it happen. All right, and this is all going to come down to how we edit the recipients in this middle section here. So once again, we have our document and then our recipient section. Now, if we're looking here, we know that buyer number 1, that's not myself. In our last example, we had agent, buyer's agent up here, but this is just going to be for the client side. So I'm going to leave this one just as is. This is my client, their email. That's exactly what we need it to be. And then what we need to do is we need to actually add a recipient. So we have the buyer and the seller, and this recipient we are going to actually have as the seller's agent. You can go ahead and put whatever their name is and then their email, sellersagent@gmail.com. And now what we need to do is adjust this order and adjust what they need to do here. So what I'm going to do is I want them to be in position number 2. Oops. I'm going to change this number to 2 right there. And then change this number to 3. There we go. Oh, actually, I apologize. It bounced around on me. This to 2. And this one to 3. There we go. So we have my client first, we have the seller's agent second, and then we have the seller third. Now, if I don't know the contact information for that seller, or if I don't want to be interacting, etc. with them, I really want their agent to handle that, what I can do here is change this needs to sign to specify recipients. That means it's going to hit my client, and then the seller's agent is going to get an email saying, hey, we have documents ready for your client to sign, enter in their email address, and it's going to go ahead and send it off for the signature. That way I don't have to know anything more about the client down here, and I can just let their agent handle that. If you are going that route, the one thing I'm going to recommend is you change this customize button to add a private message and just let them know, hey, add your client info to send them the signature for the PA. Oops, whatever that might be. I don't know, whatever message you want to do there, you can add that in. And that's going to be a message that they're only going to get when it is their turn to specify the recipients. Past that, you're going to go ahead and hit the next button and continue that document sending as usual. And that's it. That's all for DocuSign. Yes, I know that was a lot of stuff. Please take a moment to hop in here, create some envelopes, play around, send some signatures to yourself, etc., and really understand this workflow as well as possible. All right, and for this final portion here, probably got another 5 minutes to go, but we're going to be taking some time to actually get our documents into DocuSign or .loop based off of those file uploads, or those signature files that we just completed. Now what we do when we hop into our under contract or under our listing checklist over here on the left, if this was a listing, you can go ahead and see on this right side, now that we've created the transaction, we instead get drop downs over here rather than this file drag and drop or this browse button here. We can change whether we're uploading from your computer or from DocuSign by hitting this drop down and changing that. And once again, since this is a test account, it's not going to quite show you here, but typically this is going to show all of the completed signed documents from DocuSign. So those are ones that have that green checkbox. Every signer assigned to this has completed their role. It's going to simply show up on this. It's going to say green sheet signed. Then you just clean and simply click green sheet signed, and you are all set with associating this document with the DocuSign record. And once that's done, whether you've uploaded your documents via DocuSign or if you have uploaded them manually through your computer, once you have docs in there, in which I'm going to fill something in here just for our example, we're going to go ahead and do that. We're going to get this Submit to Market Center button that lights up here. Now, if you're doing some testing or playing around with it, don't actually hit this button. This is the one thing that will alert the Market Center to review this document, but I'm going to pull it out of the stack myself here manually in a moment, so we can see that this has now been submitted and this is ready for review. Once again, it is totally up to you if you want to go ahead and upload all your documents at once at the end, once your purchase agreements and everything are signed and good to go, or if you want to be uploading the documents one at a time as they get signed. That option is completely up to you. All you need to do is just hit the submitted button whenever you're ready for us as a Market Center to review those documents. And then once again, just as a quick reminder, if you needed to add any additional documents that were not on this checklist, or if you need to upload and add multiple documents, you can hit the ellipses button over here to the right and add document or split and attach PDF. If you'd like to export bulk documents here, you can do so as well. And then for our very last final note on this document section here, we are going to be looking at this closed area. So when you get your prelim detail put in here, you'll get a notification from the Market Center that you are ready to sign this. Now what you're going to go ahead and do here, I'm going to go ahead and get another placeholder document set up here. But then what you can do here is they're going to upload that prelim DA detail, then eventually they'll upload the final detail. But you can hit this checkbox right here on the left side, and you'll see the Sign Documents button light up. You can go ahead and hit that Sign Documents button, and that's going to go ahead and put your digital signature and or your approval on this detail here. You might have a pop-up that you need to allow here as well. So if you need that, you can go ahead and do that, and it will go ahead and complete that signature in DocuSign. And it's sort of the same thing. We're going to continue. If there was a signature box, that's where you'd hit it and you'd move on there, which there isn't for this example document. All right, and that's all we have for documents and opportunities. Our very final thing we're going to do is offers and commissions. Now, if you're at the point where you have a PA that's signed and nothing is moving and you're pretty locked in for what you need to happen, you can go ahead and add an offer. But if you're also at the state where you're accepting offers and you haven't decided, you can do pretty much the same thing. The only difference is I would name the offer something else here. If, once again, you have a signed PA here, just go ahead and leave it as initial offer and create. And then if you don't have a signed one and you're looking at multiple offers, go ahead and put the name of the property or whatever you're submitting that offer for. When we get to this creation page here, just go ahead and check the offer date, close date, make sure those are set appropriately. And then we need to put that address one more time down here at the bottom. So we're going to type in a 123 Main, select that right here, and then we're going to hit this parties selection. Now, the only thing you have to fill out here is going to be the name for the buyer or the seller, and then the seller agent over here. If you wanted to fill out all of this information here, you can, but it's not required. The vast majority of what we're doing right now is for reference information. There are only a few data fields that will populate elsewhere. So you need to get the name, their agent's name here, and then if you want to fill out contact information, feel free to do so. And then we're going to go to the terms page. Now, the term page, we have a bunch of stuff down here, which you can fill out if you want, especially the earnest amount. That's something that people do fill out. But what we need to do is get this top section filled out for our terms for financing. Now, this is something that you might have available to you right off the bat. It might be very cut and dry, or it might be something where you don't have that information. You only have that final sales price, and that's actually not a problem for us. So if we had a deal and I knew it was a $20,000 down and we're looking at $180,000 for financing, we'll enter those amounts in there and boom, we have our sales price of $200,000. Now, if I'm really unsure of what it might be, that's not a problem. I'm only going to hop in here and I'm going to put the total amount either in the cash or the finance section here, just to make our sales price equal our total sales price of $200,000. It's totally fine to group it up that. It doesn't affect anything. This is just for reference when you look back at this opportunity so you can understand the details for financing the opportunity, or the financing the transaction. And once again, if you want to enter the earnest amount, some people find that useful, but it is a completely optional field. And then this bottom section here, once again, if you find use out of it, cool. If not, you're totally good to go. And then we have the agent analysis, just a really simple pros and cons and an overall summary of this offer. Please don't put anything scathing or inappropriate in these. These are potentially viewable by clients and or other agents. So be good, behave. And then we go ahead and hit the save button and we've created that offer. It's a pretty easy process, pretty easy thing to do here. Now then you need to go ahead and accept the offer and manage commission. Now, if you are a solo agent, this is very easy for you. The only thing you have to do is get this contract date updated, and this is something that every single agent will have to do here. So we'll have to hit this edit general information, go ahead and double check your contract date, and this is going to be that last date on the PA for one that was signed, or it could also be, the last date any addendum or anything for the PA was signed. Typically, it's the last date on the PA. And then the closing date, this is when you're sitting down at the table, with title and whatnot, doing your signatures. And then we'll go ahead and save. Like I said, if you're a sole agent, Boom, hit this button, submit. If you have any deductions, referrals, splits, etc. to record, go ahead and submit it. And you'll be at the screen here. It's going to ask you if you want to give any additional charitable donations. And just to highlight, this is in excess of anything that you may have automatically coming out of your transaction. So if you're already opting in for donations, this is in addition. So if you're donating extra or you're submitting and skipping, if you're skipping and submitting or donating and submitting, you can do that appropriate action there. And then our last bit, for those of you that are on teams or have weird splits, we're gonna look at this now. So some numbers we're looking at, it's not too tricky, but it's, something to learn. First thing we wanna do here is look at agent units and understand that an agent unit is essentially like a single agent unit, 1.0 units, is equivalent to 100% of the commission pay for this transaction. For example, if you're running a 50-50 split, you would have 0.5 units for yourself and 0.5 units for the agent you're splitting with. If this is a 60-40, I would have 0.6 units myself and the other agent 0.4 units. And I'm going to show you how to record that here. First thing we're going to do is add another agent, or if it's a co-broker situation, you can do that as well. So we're going to add the agent, put in whatever their name is. Let's see, who is lucky today? Cool, Andy, you are lucky. You're getting some free money. Not actually. But then what we want to do over here is adjust our agent unit. So let's do that 50-50 split. Actually, I'm going to do that 60-40. So I'm going to put a 0.6 in this agent units box and calculate the commission. That'll show me my 3,600, and we can go ahead and save changes at the bottom. Now, if we look here, actually, I realized I did mess up that number, but if we look up here at the top, it's important to note that my agent units for myself is set for 1.0. If I go to try to submit this right now, it's going to shoot me back an error because this is set to 0.6 and this is set to 1.0. We need to make sure that these are appropriately set up. And if we look on the right side here, we have a negative balance, we have excess commission, we made a mistake. So what I need to do here is edit agent payment for myself. So Andy set for 0.6. I'm going to go ahead and set myself for 0.4 here and then calculate commission. Typically I'd be the 0.6, Andy would be the 0.4, but for this example, we're going to swap around that way, and then we'll be able to successfully submit. Once again, if you get to this donation screen, that means there are no issues with your submission. If you're just doing a nice, simple split, that's all you need to do, and it's going to go automatically distribute those funds appropriately. Now, the only extra last thing that we'll get to that it might be a little bit squirrely is going to be additional deductions, bonuses, those sorts of things. And we're going to do that by hitting this Edit Agent Payment button, and we're going to scroll all the way down to the bottom to Extra Payment Options. Now, most of these are pretty straightforward, but not all the time. So for inside and outside referrals, those I think are the easiest ones. If it's an inside referral, you throw in their name, tell them how much money they're getting, send it off, and you're done. If it's an outside referral, you have to do a little bit more digging here, get their brokerage, get that percentage and or the flat dollar amount, get their name, all their information filled out here, because what we're going to have to do is for them to get the referral bonus, our market center is going to mail their market center a check or, whatever e-file. I don't know exactly how that works, but they'll go ahead and send that out to the other brokerage, and then that brokerage is going to give that agent their money. And then the last thing here is going to be our bonuses and our deductions. Don't worry about the concessions. It's very, very rare that you have to use that. But for our bonuses, so this can be something where if you have a broker fee or anything along those lines that you're charging, let's say you have a broker fee of $250, you can go and enter that in as well. And so that records you're capturing another $250 that you're charging your client for a broker fee. And then if you have additional, any deductions or things of that nature here, you can record that in this deduction box as well. Cool. And then we're going to go ahead and save those changes if you need to save. And we're going to pop back to our final screen here. we're looking at those agent payments. So double check, look at this real quick here. I always encourage people, do a really quick gut check, make sure you understand what all of this means, that everything makes sense to you, and you'll be all good. You can see down here on the bottom left side, it's gonna break down all of the payment information, show you, where you are in progress to your cap and things of that nature. And once you're feeling good about that, hit that submit button, record any additional donations that you want, and then, bum-ba-da-bum, you're done. That was a lot of stuff. I mean, that's almost 45 minutes, an hour of lessons just for this one topic. I am gonna really quickly show you this stuff is super, super easy. I mean, I've been doing this for all of 6 months at this point, and it really only takes me a couple minutes start to finish to do all of this document stuff here. So what I'm gonna do here is we're gonna start over, we're gonna do a nice little review, and then show you a live example of this. I'm gonna make sure I have a good file ready to be split here, and then we are going to move from there. Let me see if we're good here. Cool, we can go ahead and use this one. So I don't wanna throw any personal information there. So we're gonna go ahead and start off, we're gonna create our opportunity. This one is going to be a listing. I'm gonna use that same test client as before. Commission rate needs set for 3%. Opportunity phase set to active. This property box here, we're gonna put that 123 Main Street in and let it autofill. We're then gonna hop over to documents, select our checklist type as residential, and then we're going to start our transaction over here on the right side. And once this loads, I am going to go ahead and just do one thing to send for envelopes. It doesn't need a signature, which will be the green sheet. So I'm going to go ahead and I guess I don't need to do any prep on that one. Hit the box, envelope. And then we're going to scroll down, put ourselves as the signer for this document, even though it doesn't technically have any signature fields on it. And we're gonna go ahead and autofill this, and next. Go ahead and send. Oh, sorry, I must not have saved. I got you. Done. Here we go. And we can go ahead and send without fields is totally fine there. And that's gonna come back to the envelope review page. And typically at this point, you'll send your signatures and you've done all that stuff already there. But we're gonna go ahead and do that. Continue, finish. We don't need to share. If you want to share them after signatures, you can, like that. But then when we hop back into DocuSign here, we're gonna see that this has a completed document here. And if we go back to our document section, we are going to see that signed green sheet right over here to the right. And then we have the certification page, which shows us the electronic record of signatures on this. Ooh. All right, so we're going back into our opportunities applet because we went and finished our signatures. And then what we're going to do is go to our under contract section because that was a signed green sheet. And then I can just go ahead and click this drop down and I have this new green sheet signed. We'll click that. I can review that document if I wanted to, make sure it all looks good. Looks great to me. Go to our offers and commissions, make this new offer. We're gonna leave those dates just the same. And we're gonna put the name, buyer 1, agent, buyer agent. Move to our terms. That's going to be that 200,000. So I'm just going to do boom, marked right there. That analysis I'm going to leave blank. We're going to accept, manage commission. Contract date. We need to edit general information. We'll do March 6th. Looks great to me. And I'm going to go ahead and set up a split here as well. So add another agent. Let's see who's lucky. LB, you're getting some money today. We'll do a 0.5 units, a 0.5 split on this, and edit my own agent payment and set that as 0.5 as well and save changes. Now at this point, we can go ahead and hit that submit button and we're done. It takes about 5 minutes to do it, and that was including all the DocuSign stuff here. It's very, very quick and easy to do. Cool. Awesome. Well, I really hope that was useful for you all. As always, please let me know if you have any questions. Feel free to schedule one-on-ones, whatever I can do to help sort of educate you and step you through this system comfortably. As always, thank you. You're taking the time to learn new things, to better yourself, to equip yourself with some tools to make some money and build a really stellar life. I appreciate you taking the time, and I hope you all have a stellar week.